we will begin right now.
And go.
Okay, Rob, it seems that there's a Jack Kirby panel in the other room, so
Okay,
you're on your own.
I'll be right back.
You know what? They wouldn't let me in. They
Yeah,
saw
I
my
could.
name and they said I wasn't good enough to come in there. Mark Maddox, I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to have a talk with him.
That son
Anyway,
of a. Yes.
we're here this morning with the illustrious Robert Floyd.
Ah,
Where is he? Where's this
uh,
illustrious person?
he's up on a Sunday morning early, in Portsmouth, Virginia.
That in itself is a rarity.
It's a feat. Let me tell you.
um, in reality, Rob and I have been friends for about 30 years. I think we have to stay friends because we have too much dirt on each other.
That's part of it. Yeah, yeah. And who else would put up with
Each of us.
either our BS? So I mean,
That's right. Well, um, we're here to talk about all these toys and everything that you make. So first of all, we got to do our little plug. Anyone watching, we need to make sure that you click on the Monsterama or SpyCon site and donate to the Motion Picture and Television Fund. It's a great charity. We're trying to raise money. So please jump on there
yeah,
and make a donation. And Rob,
definitely.
through the Williamsburg Film Festival uh, with your dad, I mean,
Yeah.
you encounter a lot of folks that make use of this, I assume.
Oh yeah. There's really fortunate to meet a lot of these older celebrities over the years through the nostalgia festival there, and yeah, like you were saying yesterday, some of them they did the work, but they're not rich and famous. They may be famous, but they're not rich. And as they get older, that they need help, and you go to the motion picture home or the actors home, and it's lucky they have that place. But
Right. And plus, the fund also supplements other things as well. I think it's not just those that are living at the
hmm
home. There's a whole bunch of other things that they do. And there's
yeah,
the link on the Monsterama site has a whole big
cool.
thing, and on the GoFundMe about what all they fund and where the money goes and all of that. So please,
Yeah.
everyone that's watching, reach out for that. So that being said, let's jump
Yes.
right into this.
Right on.
Another thing, Rob and I are both wearing our Monster Fest shirts because this weekend would have been Monster
Actually,
Fest
would have been last weekend, but
last
yeah,
weekend. I'm sorry.
yeah. Monster Fest. Yeah, that's the 1 day free, which is the coolest thing, free horror event that you and I started 17 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife Phyllis and I, when you left me and moved to Georgia, and so my wife Phyllis and I have kept it going, these years, and it's a great event. It's a horror con, uh, 1 day Saturday. Usually it's the first Saturday in October, and it's free. And we have over 60 tables of vendors and horror hosts for guests like Mr. Lobo and Dr. Madblood, Penny Dreadful, Dr. Sarcophagi, and other ones over the years. And it's just a lot of fun. And everything horror cons have. We have costume contest and panels all day long, and sometimes we have a couple of bands, show some movies, and it's been a lot of fun. But unfortunately this year, the way things are going, we weren't able to do it. So
Well,
knock on wood, hopefully we'll be back on track next year.
that's right, and we're trying to represent. So
That's
anyone
right.
that can make that next year too. Uh,
Yeah. And this
hopefully
artwork
we'll
on this
be.
shirt was
Yeah,
done by
hopefully.
some bum, but
Who was that guy? Some hack that designed that T-shirt. Uh, Hopefully, it's not the same weekend as next year's Monsterama,
yeah,
so I can come up and
that would
hang
be
out with
cool.
you.
Yeah.
So anyway, um, you and I shared this other passion, which is just making custom stuff.
Yeah.
But so let's just jump right into it and tell me kind of what spurred all this on, and then we'll start showing
Okay.
off some of the stuff.
Well, it's like we always say, we make these things for ourselves first. And it's something that you've always wanted that nobody has made yet. So instead of waiting around for somebody to do it, just figure out how to do it myself so I can have one. I mean, that's the main thing, because I want one for me. And if it, and then the project, it comes out good, and then a friend or somebody says, "Hey, you could sell that. People would want that." You're like, well, maybe I'll make another one, or maybe I'll cast this and make them old so I can run more. And
That's right.
that's basically how it happens from the get go. And depending on what it is, whether it's a figure from scratch or a prop for a costume, or a reproduction of a prop from a movie, that you just have always wanted, you got to figure out how to do it. Some of the, especially props, you look at it and it's like, okay, how can I do that on my budget? I don't have a studio, and I have a Hollywood budget behind me. I've got thrift stores and Lowe's. That's what I've got to work with.
and the occasional mail order.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever you can find. But when it comes, like customizing figures or building, sculpting something from scratch, yeah, that's just all, your head and your hands, and you're looking at pictures and and just doing it, and having a passion for doing it. That's the biggest thing.
Oh yeah.
Because you can tell when you've worked on something that you're doing it because for somebody else and somebody asked you to, as opposed to something that you do that you just really love for yourself. You just, whether it's conscious or not, you do put a lot more effort into it, and a lot more love,
Definitely love. And we
Yes,
do love
sir.
our classic monsters.
Oh, yes, indeed. Well, I mean, if you look at the majority of stuff that either one of us have made, it's all been classic
It's
monster
all monster
stuff.
stuff. Yeah. Well, that's what we know.
Yeah, yeah,
You know. So
and that's where
I
the
don't
passion
see
is.
us making a Reese Witherspoon custom figure. I really don't see that. So
No, 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 no. I'm not gonna do the Fast and Furious play set. I'm not gonna
that's
make that.
right. Unless there's some money in it. I mean,
Oh well, everybody's got his price.
that's right. $20 is $20.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
well, it's talking about money. I mean, that's a good thing to bring up at some point, because you're doing original art, original pieces, and it's not like it's mass produced. You don't have a machine where it's a factory, like from a toy company where they're just stamping them out, one after the other.
Yeah.
You're doing handmade original pieces. Even if you cast it, you've done the original sculpture, and the casting work you're doing yourself. I mean, all my work is done either I've got a desk in a spare room and a kitchen counter. That's where the majority of my work is done. Maybe a little bit in the garage if I need to sand something, But so it's one piece at a time, blood, sweat, and tears, and everything. So, but people, paying for original art like that, people expect a lot of times, who don't understand, expect, well, I can get this figure for $14 at Walmart. Yeah, and that's one of 1,000 figures that look just like that. This is an original piece that was made just for you.
Right, and that's the thing. Each
Yeah.
one is its own unique piece of artwork. They're hand painted. They're hand
Oh
carved.
yeah.
No two are really alike.
Yeah, even if you run a mold and you run a piece, every time you work it, and like you say, you do the finishing work and you paint it, it's going to be a little different than the previous one. So everyone, yeah, is a one of a kind original.
Well, let's see one of these one of a kind originals.
All right. Well, let's see. I got a lot of stuff laid out here. Well, okay. Well, some of the first ones I did were these, like, well, they used to call them like super deformed or little big head type figures. And I love Ray Harryhausen, so I started out with the Cyclops. This is the original sculpture. This isn't one of the
I have mine.
cast-offs.
I've
You
got
have
mine.
yours. And the cool thing about it is when you start doing stuff like this, the more you do as you go along, your technique gets better. So they start to look better, you know. And that one of our favorites, the Shock Monster from the 60s,
Oh, yes.
Topstone Monster Mask, and of course the mascot of Monster Fest. That's
In
Brother
all
Shock,
his
as we call
glory.
him.
In all his glory.
And I tend to, and I know like you, we love the 60s and 70s monster era stuff. So I think subconsciously I started that way, but purposefully as I go on, I kind of try to make the stuff have that aesthetic,
Yeah,
look like
I like
something,
that.
a
It's got
toy
a
from
good
the
vibe
60s
to
or
it.
70s.
Moon
And this is
Monster, yeah.
from the old comic book ads, the moon monster. I always wanted a figure of that. And all it was just a poster they would send you. So I was like, well, I'm gonna make my own damn figure of that.
I love how you painted it like the artwork
Yeah,
with the glow on the side.
yeah. And, that's another thing. You got to figure out, how do I make this look like the artwork? Well, it looks like it's glowing on the side, but if you look, it's just a stripe.
Yeah, it's just,
You know, but from the front, it looks great. It looks like it's glowing.
don't look behind it.
Yeah, the back is of no consequence.
That's right.
Then I started doing some bobbleheads, because bobbleheads have always been fun, since I was a kid.
Oh yeah.
But they've never made bobbleheads I really wanted. So the first one I did was Blackula.
Mm, mm, mm. Blackula.
And I love me some Blackula. That's one of my favorite 70s horror movies.
Here, hold that closer. So we can see.
Oh, you want a little bit of
Oh yeah,
little
get
action?
the face. The William Marshall there.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, let's play the theme music as it's going up. Can you edit that in?
Yeah. Blackula.
And each one of these I paint a little. I'll do something different to the base or whatever. Put a little more blood splatter, just to make it unique when somebody gets one. And of course, another one of my favorites, talking about 70s horror movies, is Count Yorga,
Yeah, this is my
vampire.
favorite.
It's Palsy Yorga. Ooh,
Yeah. This one just has a great style to it, and the head taken off that poster artwork that we always loved.
Yeah, well, this is one of those where I combined a couple things because I just like the aesthetic of it. Where it's the outfit is from the first Yorga movie, but the head is from Return of Count Yorga, that poster that we love so
Right.
much.
Yes.
But the combo was just, okay, it looks better that way. So we take a little liberty with it. Oh, and of course, one of my all-time favorite movies, cult movies, Phantom of the Paradise.
Mm-hmm.
And this was one where, again, there's hardly any merchandise out there. And just in recent years, a couple of bigger, companies have done a couple figures, but they're, $100 or better. So I was like, well, damn it, I'm going to have a Phantom of Paradise bobblehead now. And here's one I haven't finished. Well, it's finished, but I haven't wound the spring. And yeah, I do all the sculpting, casting. I even wind the springs myself. I don't buy the springs. But one of my all-time favorite movie, the best Disney movie ever, Scarecrow of Romney Marsh.
Yes.
Or Dr. St. Alias the Scarecrow. Yeah.
Yes.
And of course the spring will make the head bobble like that, but this is one of the coolest movies ever. And it's amazing the amount of people that don't know about this film. But it is a Disney film, live action, and it's just fantastic. And I need to I haven't even cast that one yet, so I need to do that.
So that was the original sculpture.
Yeah, all of these are the original sculptures that I just
okay.
pulled off my shelf. There's a couple of them that have little chips in them from where I get, cut the mold off and everything. I haven't repaired yet.
Very cool.
Yeah, I mean, I've got lots of stuff that. Well, I guess we'll keep going with the figures.
Yeah, because you do the big, you do the solids, you do the bobbleheads.
Yeah.
And then you and I both love using the smaller 3 3/4 inch or 3 and.
Oh yeah, and doing custom figures. Let's see. And I've always liked the Marvel horror comics of the 70s, like Werewolf by Night. So I made a Werewolf by Night. Trying to use that Mike Plug artwork as a reference there, That's one of my favorites. And I always like the Marvel Frankenstein, that look where they kind of borrowed from the Son of Frankenstein with that shag vest. But then
the haircut is Curse of Curse of Frankenstein.
Yeah, so it's a
little hammer, it's a little
yeah, they did a little comment, and then of course that purple shirt, I don't know, but yeah, they did their own thing with it. And Yeah, and
Plus,
these are
the face almost has a John Bloom Dracula versus Frankenstein vibe sometimes, depending which artist draws it.
yeah. Oh, we'll get to that figure in a minute. Now, do you remember the
I'm gonna
Dell
do a spit
comics?
take here.
The Dell comics tried to make Dracula, Frankenstein, and superheroes in the 60s.
Oh yes, yes.
And they're so garish and ridiculous looking. But I thought last year I was like, yeah, I need figures of those. So, well, here, let me take them out of the case so they can see it better. I
What's
did
this
the.
minted package bullcrap?
There's the Dracula that.
Yes, yes.
I mean, who thought that was a good idea? But as a figure, it's like, okay, I gotta have one.
I
So.
don't remember seeing that one.
Oh man, I think it was like 3 issues.
No,
I've
no,
got two.
I've seen the comic.
Oh,
I
the figure.
don't remember
Oh, you
seeing
haven't
the
seen
figure.
these. Oh, well, when do you see the Frankenstein?
Okay.
If I can get it out of the
Bring
package
it
here.
on, brother. Bring it on.
Here you go. Super Frankenstein.
When did
And
Frankenstein rob Captain Power's wardrobe?
Captain Adam.
Captain Adam, yes.
Yeah.
Steal his wardrobe.
Yeah, and again, these are simple customs where it's, we use the little. These were from the Burger King figures that came out in the 90s,
Yeah.
and they're soft plastic, soft rubber, so you can cut them real easy, cut pieces off you don't need. And then I use Super Sculpey is mainly what I use to sculpt. And you just sculpt all the pieces that you want,
Yeah.
and just work it and work it and work it, and then you fire it in the oven and you paint it. It's real simple procedure to work and materials to work with, and it's anything. I mean, it's easy to get. You can get it Super Sculpey online, any hobby store.
Mm-hmm.
And and here's another one. I always like the Atlas comics from the
yes.
70s.
Yes.
And the tarantula was always one of my favorites. And so I had to. This is one I've been wanting to make for myself for years, and I just finally got around to doing it a few months ago.
That is great.
Just in time for Halloween. But you're talking about customs too. Now we both are huge Planet of the Apes fans.
Oh, of course.
That goes without saying. So again, a figure they didn't make that I had to do for myself. NECA came out with these great Planet of the Apes figures a few years ago. Okay, and this is the Zayas that they came out with, and it's a beautiful figure, but they didn't make a Virgil from Battle. So I had to have a Virgil. So I made my own Paul Williams as Virgil from Planet of the Apes. Now, this is the same figure. The Zayas is what I used one of these to make this, but I don't know if you can tell how extremely different they look body-wise and everything.
Yeah.
But all I did for customizing on this was I shortened the legs by maybe about a half an inch.
Right.
And I resculpted the head entirely. But all I did for the body was I shortened the legs. And by doing that, it brought the torso down and made the coat spread out more. So it makes the body look completely different.
Right.
I didn't have to
really
do
does.
anything. Yeah. And it's just, I mean, that's, happy accident, but something as simple as that completely changes the look of in a lot of projects you work on,
Oh yeah.
that people don't think about, I guess, but it happens. You're like, hey, that's awesome.
That's right. Well, I had to do that with that AHI Frankenstein.
Exactly. Yeah.
The boots and the neck needed to come out to
Yeah.
look like the figure.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And you're talking about Dracula versus Frankenstein, John Bloom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you do stuff you want to dress it up a little more. So I did the figures, and I figured a presentation, put them in a shadow box, and I put a torn up movie poster behind it to make it look a little more grindhouse like. And so this is the Dracula versus Frankenstein. I don't know if you can glare. Yeah.
Andor Vorkov, my friend.
Yeah, and he does have the ring on his finger there. If you can see it. And of course, my love for Blackula, is legendary. So I had to make a Blackula figure in the shadow box.
Too. Great backdrop. That's those little presentation boxes are great because you and I are not big fans of making them in a package. You know,
Yeah,
we like them loose where you can really see them, and
yeah, and
we
maybe
don't want to
pose them a
spend.
little bit, or yeah. So this is kind of a little bit. I mean, it's kind of packaging, but it's kind of an environment for the figure in
Right.
a way, you know.
Plus, they're not stuck in a tiny little space. They're out,
Yeah,
so to
yeah,
speak. So to speak.
yeah. And I'm all for one, for doing things on the cheap for a lot of reasons. I mean, one, I am cheap,
That's true.
uh,
Two.
but yeah, too. But also, it's for me, it's really kind of fun to figure out. Okay, how can I do this with next to nothing and make it
Right.
look like it's really something?
Yeah.
And and a lot of that, which I talk a bit about something in a minute, is the materials you can use. And one of the greatest materials for, especially, and for like life size figures and stuff, is PVC pipe.
Oh yes. Yes.
It's so versatile, and you can use it for so many different things. Well, I guess I'll go that way in a minute and get back to the monsters real quick in a second. But I've made different armatures for life size figures, and I've done a few, and I kind of lean more towards the Spook House Carnival kind of look,
Yeah.
which is is fun stuff. One day I'll get around to doing like a hyper realistic figure, but the PVC, you can use it for a lot of different things, a lot of handheld props and things. I made a Logan's Run is one of my favorite sci-fi movies of all time. So I made a Logan's Run blaster a few years ago,
Oh, there you go.
and this is all PVC here. All I did was get different sizes, sand the edges down. Even that cap is a PVC cap. Cut in the pieces here, and that even might be one of the pieces I cut off, straightened out. The handle is just a piece of carved wood and some rubber shoe sole material for the grip.
Oh, super. That looks
And it's
great.
prop. Yeah, thanks. It looks, I think it looks pretty good for nothing.
Right.
I mean,
If you give yourself a say, I want to see, can I make it on this very low budget and still make it look effective? And
yeah.
let's face it, the real ones probably didn't look that good.
Oh, up close. Well, we were talking about that yesterday. The $6 million man. If you take actual real movie props, they look great on screen and with the bright lighting. You look at them in person, you're like, this is a piece of balsa wood and part of a bucket. I mean,
Well, remember, you remember that Mr. Freeze gun that Kelly had?
yeah,
How
yeah.
bad that thing looked, like a toy from Walmart.
Oh, yeah.
It was
Well,
awful looking.
there was a show. Oh, what was it? Earth 2,
Oh yeah,
a year or two ago. They used Nerf guns, and all they did was paint them. They didn't
just
even
paint.
add
I
stuff to
remember
them,
that.
you know. Um, but PVC. Also, I've made a few lightsabers. It's lightsaber hilts.
Right.
Because I like I love props, and all of this is PVC. And these are just some hose pieces from Lowe's that I'm like, I could flip that around, glue two together, or look like something really cool. And odds like this is a button from, I don't know, a radio or something I bought at a thrift store that I thought,
Right.
okay, I break it apart, there might be some inside pieces, and uh the little switch piece is some accessory from an action figure that I didn't use. I just, and this is, I guess what I'm getting at is, anything that you have, any little pieces of scrap or something, you can use for something event.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely. Kit
you know.
bashing is
Oh yeah,
always
that's it.
fun.
Yeah, here's another lightsaber, and this is all just PVC cut and shaped, in different ways,
Now these are
and
you
painted.
you you come up with your original design for the saber.
Yeah, this is, I just get a piece of paper and start drawing until I come up with an idea that I like.
Right.
And yeah, it's all original. It's no character. I just the prop for myself. And this little piece right here is actually some from some Star Trek figure. It was some accessory that I just put on there and painted. But it made a great switch.
Oh wow.
Um,
Is
but
that?
yeah,
I
this
guess
is
that's a next gen piece, Playmates or something.
yeah. It actually is a Playmate. No, I tell you, I think it's a Playmates Uhura figure from Motion Picture. Because I got a couple of those to customize to make Foxy Brown and Coffee
Right.
Pam Grier figures. But yeah, but I guess what I'm getting at again, and I say over and over, is on the cheap, this is like two pieces of PVC that I just cut and shaped and glued together and painted. And that's a PVC, a little nozzle thing. And that little switch are just little odds and ends I had lying around. But you put it all together and you can make something pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
And you never know what you've got lying around the house. You can turn into something else.
Well, I think we all have a box of figure parts, just body pieces.
Oh yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
the custom fodder box, and then we have a box of just like you were talking about, weird little shapes, and at
yeah.
least one box. But
Oh yeah. Oh, and here's another one. This is one I'm really proud of. I did this for my wife for her birthday one year. Made her own lightsaber, and it's kind of based off, I guess, the Wookiee lightsaber. And again, this is except for this, that's just a piece of hard plastic that I folded into a cone, and that spike and painted to look like chrome. But the rest of this is all PVC pieces. Except for the little,
wow.
like I said, little nods, little knobs, odds and ends. But it's all PVC cut in different ways. And this is something cool. That this part that looks like wood is a technique I found online where it's PVC. But what you do is you get a piece of PVC and a piece of heavy grit sandpaper, 80 grit, 60 grit, and you just sand it a few times,
Mm-hmm.
and it creates those grooves. And then you use a couple different shades of brown, and damn if it doesn't look like wood.
That's
I
cool.
I mean, I don't know if you can't really see probably on the camera the subtleties of the shades of colors, but it's one of those things. I saw the technique. I'm like, I tried it. I'm gonna try that. And when I tried it, I was like, well, damn, they were right. It really works.
That is cool. I love finding little things like that, little
Yeah,
hacks online.
yeah. So you can make PVC look like wood, and it's sturdy like PVC. It won't break like wood. And that's my commercial for PVC. I hope they
There you
send me
go.
some money.
Yeah, make
They
sure
talk
you get a check in the mail.
right. You're talking about original sculpture stuff. And well, we were both talking about that. Some of the a couple of pieces that I'm kind of proud of, and that I again did for myself. Uh, One of my favorite Hammer films, Captain Kronos, Vampire Hunter,
Oh yes.
and he has a signet ring, which a signet ring's used to like put a seal on old in old days on envelopes and things. Uh, and nobody ever made one, so I made one, Captain Kronos signet ring, and then
Furnace.
again, I decided to do a little packaging so it would look like it was a actual uh, toy ring that they
I
put
love that
out
it
back
looks
in the
like
day.
a rack toy.
Yeah, that's the idea because we love that stuff.
It
But
ends up at Woolworths and
yeah, right. Man, to have a bunch of that stuff today, right?
oh mm.
But my favorite now, ring, of course, Dracula versus Frankenstein is one of those films that is one of the worst films ever, but I love it so much.
and I do too. So
Oh yes, sir. And the ring that Zandor Vorkov as Dracula wore in that was one of those things that I wanted for so long, and nobody had ever made it. The original had been lost. So
mhm.
you made one a few years ago
Yeah.
that was it was like a gumball machine prize. It was really cool, but the only thing was it wouldn't fit my fat fingers.
Yeah,
So,
it was a little small.
but it was cool because it looked like a kid's gumball machine prize, and that man, because we love those things too. But I decided to make one that would fit me, and that's what I came up with,
Oh yes.
the
And
Dracula.
but yours takes on a life of its own with something else that happened. So you got to tell us about that.
Oh yeah, well yeah, this has got to be one of the things I'm most proud of that I've ever done. Again, I made it, and then you said, hey, you told me, you said, hey, you should try to sell some of those. I'm like, okay. So I cast it, and the first one I put out on eBay, the first guy that bought it, I noticed the name when I was getting ready to send it, it said Sam Sherman. I was like, wait a minute. So I sent the guy a message back. I said, are you the same Sam Sherman that produced and wrote Dracula versus Frankenstein? And he sent me a message back. He said, "Yes, I am. You know, the ring looks great. Here's my number. Give me a call anytime." So the producer of the film bought the first one that I made, and I did get to talk to him on the phone. And he, hell of a nice guy. A day later, I got a call from his business partner, who said, "Hey, Sam wouldn't just come out and say this, but would you be interested in licensing that ring?" And I'm like, "Yes, yeah, sure. What do you mean?" And basically, I send him a percentage every quarter of what I sell, and I can put officially licensed by Independent International and Sam Sherman on the little card that I put the ring on.
Yeah.
It's really cool, No, we don't. Neither one of us make a whole bunch of money from it, but it's just cool that it's out there,
That's
and
right.
it gives me a big thrill that the people that actually did the movie, like something that I did.
Right.
But it even goes a step further now. This past year, with everything that's going on, drive-ins have really kind of picked up their game, and Zandor Vorkov, who played Dracula in the movie, is still alive. And they were trying, and apparently he's, financially hasn't been doing that great. So they were trying to get him back into doing conventions and things to help him out a little bit. And since conventions aren't doing real good, they started to take him to drive-ins. And Sam's other business partner got in touch with me about getting a couple of the rings to give away at drive-ins. I'm like, sure, no problem. And then he sent me a message that said, "Hey, could I send one to Zandor to wear at appearances?" I'm like, hell yes, I could.
Of course.
Yeah. So I made him one up kind of special. I even put some little like sparkle red in the eye, so it would be a little unique to him. And I sent it, I got to send it right to him. And I've seen pictures of him from interviews
Oh yeah, they're
of
online
him
of
like
him. Yeah, with the ring.
wearing the ring. So it's a huge thrill to me to have Zandor Vorkov wearing a ring that I made
That's
from
right.
his movie.
So cool.
I
But
just,
but
yeah.
Xandor, you need to contact Rob and tell him thank you. Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah, or at least send me an autographed picture. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Come
Yeah.
on.
I haven't got a response from him. I sent him the ring and I didn't get a response. But,
That's right. Come
I
on,
know,
step up, Xandor.
and now everybody else knows. Uh,
Yeah,
uh,
we'll guilt him to death.
yeah.
We'll
A few
get
of the
that
other
thank
things.
you.
Yeah. I don't know how much time we've got. I don't want to run over on it.
Oh, we're still good.
Okay.
You do the another thing that you sell because you set up at Monster Bash.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Monster Bash is a convention that we go to. It's all classic monster stuff up in Pennsylvania once a year. And we just started going to that recently. It's not too far from where we are here in Virginia, so it's really cool, and it's kind of like what we always wanted Monster Fest to be if we had a big budget to work with. They're really nice folks, and it's really all, like I said, it's all classic monster stuff. So all the stuff that I make that I haven't just made for me, yeah,
Yeah.
I sell it. I go to that convention, or I sell on eBay or my Etsy shop and things like that. But a few of the other pieces I've made, a couple that I'm real proud of that I haven't been able to take to Monster Bash yet because I've made over the last year. I'm a huge fan of Paul Naschy, Hombre Lobo, and his werewolf movies. So again, there's not a lot of merchandise out there for it. So I sculpted this relief plaque. Um, it's 3D in relief, solid resin. Paul
Beautiful.
Naschy.
Beautiful.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, this is one of those that, again, I hate to like toot my own horn kind of thing, but when I finished it, I looked at it, I'm like, man, that came out pretty good.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm glad I did that for myself. I wonder if anybody else would want one. But that's one of the pieces that I'm really kind of proud of. And then another one, my wife Phyllis came up with this idea because, and I don't know why I never thought of this. Every year at Halloween, I've got to get my Count Chocula.
Oh yes,
I grew
yes.
up with the monster cereals, and I was so upset when they took them off the market and only put them out at Halloween. So uh, she said, "Why don't you do a monster cereal plaque?" And I was like, "Well, duh. I mean, why don't I do that?" So this is the latest piece I've worked on and I've come up with this year. my Serial Monsters tribute plaque, and
Oh
again, it's
yes,
in
yes.
relief. And it's the inspiration for this uh was Phyllis, like I said, telling me that, hey, why don't you do this? But it's also inspiration was your Aurora plaque that you did in the
Oh,
'90s because
so long
it's
ago, so
yeah,
long ago.
yeah, and of course I use the Aurora logo to do
Right.
Serial Monsters, so it gives that nostalgia feeling twofold. And here's what it looks like, just rough out of the mold,
Right.
unpainted,
Now
not finished.
you have these on your Etsy store, right?
Yeah, I have these on my Etsy store, and I threw a couple up on eBay, see how
So
they do.
what do they need to look up on
Um,
Etsy? What's your name?
right there.
Wait a minute.
I don't know, let me see if I can hold that still. Wait a minute.
What's the Etsy like when they do a search for something? What
It is the castle down the road.
the castle down the road? I'm gonna pull
Yes,
it up
sir.
here real quick and show it on
Okay.
the screen.
And of course, that great artwork from the Aurora ad from the comic books. Just love that. But yeah, the castle down the road, and I've got all kinds of stuff on there. I do wood burn plaques, something I've got into recently. Here's some of that type stuff with just
Oh, some slee stock.
Slee Stack, some Apes Love here,
Oh,
the
oh,
Ursus.
okay. Here we go.
Oh,
Can
okay.
you see that?
There it
So,
is. That's
um,
it.
here's his Etsy store, the castle down the road, all one word. Uh, look at all this great stuff. The Zotz coin.
Yeah.
Um,
Repro of the Zotz coin. And oh yeah, but some of my pill boxes there.
the pill boxes. Some nice freak show pillbox things. Yeah, there's some more Zandor Vorkov.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of the freak show stuff, the artwork and just that whole era of live entertainment just amazes me.
Oh, look at that dog face boy, beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some more wood burn plaques there.
So three pages of this stuff, all kinds of great stuff on here. So everybody
And more
needs.
coming.
Oh yeah. Here's what I was looking for. Uh, Tell me about these. I love these, and
Oh,
well,
the letters?
tell them about these because
Yeah.
this is a great.
Well, you remember when we were kids, they in the 70s, 100 years ago, they had trading cards and stickers where any candy aisle you went in any convenience store had boxes of different trading cards. And these were monster letter stickers. I
Yeah,
think this or
monster
monster
initials.
initials is what
Monster
monster
initials. Yeah.
initials. And they were, just trading cards size, and they were letters and had this garish monster artwork on each letter, and each one was different. And I loved those when I was a kid. I had tons of them. And just
Oh,
recently, yeah, I found a couple years ago, I found online, it was a web page that had a picture of all the letters. And I was like, oh man, how cool that was. I wish I could get those. And then I saw these letters like this at a thrift store, and light went off, ding. So I took the images from the original letters and started hand painting them on these these different size wooden letters. Again, I started doing it mainly for my own amusement, and then I've taken them to conventions and things, and most of them are as close as I can get to the original artwork. Some of them I had to alter a little bit to fit the shape of the letter I'm working with.
right.
Um, Actually, the first time I did it was for a friend of mine. I found a sign at a thrift store. A good friend of ours who likes horror movies and stuff too. It said Jessica's Room, and it had it was in uh, pastels and it had flowers on it.
Right.
So I was like, So I took it home, painted it all, black, and painted each letter like those horror letters, and then put two skeletons where the flowers were, and that's her sign on her
Right.
room.
Now this is one of the pieces of yours that I do not have. So I need
Oh,
to
what
get
the
one of these.
letter?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, there will be one in your next box of love.
we're gonna have to trade something for one of these.
Oh yeah, I'll see if I have a C there or an
Yeah.
S. For some reason, I've got like 3 G's is what I have found.
Jeez.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm cheap,
Hey,
so
I'll
it's the
take
kind
the
of thing.
letter. I'll take the letter that is harder to give away. I just want one. Hey, G
Okay.
has a lot of good curves and spaces to hide monsters. So
Yeah.
I'll take that one.
Yeah. Cool. Cool. Okay. Well, you got one. You got one. It's coming.
Hey, G is for Godzilla. G is for Gigantor. You know.
Gigantor.
So
G, yo.
yeah,
But and talking about freak
G
show
is for
stuff.
Gorgo, brother.
Gorgo. Well, there you go. Good enough.
So
Gorgo. There you have it. I need to do a Gorgo bobblehead.
that's right.
Yeah, I love Gorgo. That's what I don't know. The design of that creature is just so awesome. You know. Um.
So
Oh, you
let's
talking
make.
about? Yeah.
You sell on Etsy. You also sell on eBay.
Yeah. Yeah. I try to sell on eBay.
Well, it's
But
getting
yeah,
harder and harder. But
yeah, but I throw stuff on there all the time. And again, stuff that I make, of course, vintage stuff that I've picked up over the years. But yeah, anytime I make something new, I'll throw it up on eBay and see if I get any bites, and put it in my Etsy shop. And I've got actually I've got a stack of new wood burn plaques over there. They've been sitting here for a while. I haven't put on Etsy yet, so pretty soon there'll be a bunch of new stuff in my Etsy shop.
super, super. Well, I mean, we're always making stuff. That's the thing. And
Oh yeah.
and you know what all these people don't know is that we talk back and forth constantly.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
Um,
yeah. You moved down to Georgia. You left me, like I said, but we're still we still talk on the phone 2 or 3 times a week, even if it's just, hey, I meant to tell you this.
yeah,
Uh,
that's
did you
right.
see such and such? To being on the phone for about an hour or so, talking about a project or how
Yeah,
to do it or what we're working on.
exactly, exactly. Well, I mean, this spurs us on to be creative and be and the fun of all of this stuff.
Yeah,
That's the big thing. So,
yeah, and it's great too because talking about what you're doing or what I'm doing sometimes will give the other one an idea for something new to do or different to do.
oh, definitely,
Or a
definitely.
different take on what they're doing. It's like the most recent thing you did a Riku Browning creature custom figure,
Oh,
and you
yeah,
did that from the still where he's holding the mask,
right.
and I thought that was so cool, but I didn't want to copy that,
Well, you
exact.
did Ben
And
Chapman,
so I did Ben Chapman with the still where he's like this with the white bathing cap on. So
but
it's
nobody has done Tom Hennessy. Go
well,
figure.
you
Because
still have to do, or did you do already a Don McGowan?
I started on a Don McGowan, but I
Okay.
didn't. I never finished. I need to get busy with that.
Oh, I got one other thing I've got. You're talking about the freak show thing with the pill boxes.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, for so long I've wanted to make my own freak show gaffs, like
Right, right.
display pieces, and I'm gonna make a Fiji mermaid at some point. I forgot to get. I'd made a Fiji mermaid rack toy a
Oh,
while back, and I didn't get one out to show you here, but I had a little packaging for it and everything, and maybe I'll put it in the Etsy shop. I've taken them to shows and sold a couple, but I made not long ago. I made a mummified fairy
oh yes, very
piece.
cool, very cool.
Yeah. And actually, I put this up on eBay, and for a while, and no nibbles, no nibbles. And then I got a message the other day. A guy from Israel wants to know, will you ship overseas? I want this really badly. And I'm like,
Ooh,
I'll check into it. Usually, I only ship to US right now because shipping overseas for the longest time, the shipping has been so high,
right,
that people don't want to pay the shipping. So I just put
exactly.
ship US. But I might have to check into the shipping because this guy seems like he really wants the piece. But it's one of those. It's like, do I really want to give it up? I mean, but I did put it up for sale, so I got to.
Yeah, the gaffs are always great to make. So
Oh yeah, yeah, I
um,
love that stuff.
the uh, the web address to your Etsy shop is down in the chat. So
Oh, cool, great, thank
so
you.
people can access it there. So we're right
Yeah.
about at our time. So I guess we'll have to wrap it up. And you can have the
Oh,
rest
okay.
of your Sunday to go make stuff.
I'll do that. Also, hey, if you're on Facebook, check out my Facebook page too, because one of my albums is all my creative stuff
That's
that I've
right.
done, and some stuff I don't have for sale that I've just done for myself. A lot of that's on there, and also my
Sketch cards.
yeah, I
You
do a
do a
lot of
lot of sketch cards.
yeah, a lot of sketch cards. I've got a bunch of those on eBay right now, and they're all on my Facebook page too. And my wife and I do a podcast every 2 weeks, Phantasmo After Dark Cult Movie Podcast. There's a Facebook page for that also.
Yes, yes.
If you go to Phantasmo After Dark on Podbean, we're on Stitcher and iTunes and all that stuff too. And we just sit there and talk about cult movies. It's a lot of fun. You've been on it a few times, and
Yeah.
other friends, guest hosts now and again, and it's free. That's the most
I'm
important
waiting for
part.
my invite to do another one, but of course, I know schedule-wise has been the issue. Is just
Yeah, and a lot of times too, it's one of those things like, well, like you and I used to work we'd put off doing stuff till the last minute for conventions and be up at 4 a.m.
what do you
the
mean
day
used
before.
to? What do you mean used to?
It'll be real life will get in the way, and we'll be here on a Saturday afternoon. Go, oh, hey, don't we have a podcast due Sunday? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we better do something then.
There you go. Well, you can always call me to talk about Slithers or something like that.
We'll get one
From
going.
the deep. I'm
Oh
ready.
yeah.
I'm ready.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We still got to do that Smokey and the Bandit one.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And everybody that's been watching, thank you for staying. Be sure to click on the Monsterama site to donate to the Motion Picture and Television Fund.
Yes.
And we will see you on the next one. I think we have an airbrushing one coming up, and then another one with R.J. Hattie and Dale Morton later this afternoon. So join us for that one.
Dale does great stuff. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Right on.
So thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you probably today.
Okay. All right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.